Thank you, everybody. I wanted to introduce my co-host, Krista Bruin. Krista co-host shows with me, and she's located in Madison, Wisconsin. Nice to have you with us, Krista. And
Hello,
uh,
everyone. Welcome.
we also have some additional distinguished guests that we will be introducing shortly. It's a great pleasure for me to be with you here today. We were here in February for a short 4 weeks, and people didn't have enough of us, so we decided to come back and spend 3 months here with the exhibit, and to make sure that everybody who wanted to see it had a chance to see it. And today I received an email from somebody said that the name of the exhibit is really offending to them, and as a result, they're not going to support the exhibit. So we have an Arabic saying that says, if you brought anything with you and you're really bragging about it and making a big deal, just take it and leave. So as a matter of fact, every time I say the word from the river to the sea, what are you going to say? There you go. See, we didn't have to write it because it follows automatically, and people think that way too. Really, what the mission ahead of us and what's facing us all the time is that we're dealing with environments in the West where the narrative had been set by the mainstream media, and that narrative is really not favorable to Palestinians. It casts Palestinians in a negative light. They ignore us, and when they talk about us, they only talk about us with things that are not like they talk about emphasize violence and terrorism and everything, and so they don't find any nice things about us sometimes, and it's very difficult to get mainstream publications to write about events like this. We had earlier in the year we had an event in Venice, Italy, a huge exhibit, very big and very important, and somebody came from the Guardian, sorry. And they spent 3 hours with us and took like 50 pictures, and then we never seen anything after that. It's kind of went into the abyss and it disappeared. At least in the US, when they do that, they sit on it for 3 months, and then they found somebody else that they can pair us with. And then they start with them, they give them 35 minutes, and then they give us 3 minutes a day. That's how we get treated. Like they can't just come and do an interview with us, because that's kind of it puts their job on the line and things like that. So every time we're interviewed, they go across the street and they interview somebody else, the Holocaust Museum or something like that, and it's very annoying that you see that all the time. At any rate, we don't care about all that, and we are going to have our exhibits, and we're going to put them on right in the middle of everything, in the middle of London, in the middle of Italy, in the middle of Venice, which is like the world capital of art, and we're going to have people come and look at them, and we're going to tell our story and stand behind it as much as we can. And that map also offends a lot of people, and I'm glad that it does, because it's about time that the people get offended by this map get offended. The only thing missing from this map is the big letters that would say stolen in broad daylight. As far as the exhibit goes, I try to provide a comprehensive set of artistic expressions from different Palestinians in different categories. So it is very diversified, and it covers a lot of things. So we obviously have a lot of things from Gaza. We have artwork from people who are in Gaza right now. We also have some artwork from people who just get out of Gaza. So in addition, we have works from Palestinians in Palestine, in the West Bank and Ramallah, and in some people in Syria. Actually, the Syria one is not here; it's in Venice. Never mind. But we have artists from the U.S. and from the UK here, and from different parts of Europe as well. So it's a very diversified group, and we have artists who are accomplished, very well known, like Samia Halabi and Nabila Nani and some other people. And we also have emerging artists that have beautiful work, like the one you see in the corner there. Really, when I saw that, I said, we're going to have that. We're going to exhibit that in London. That's such a beautiful piece. And it's by a very young person who has not been exhibited outside of Palestine in the Middle East. So we are going to continue with what we're doing here. Next week, we have an exhibit in Cork, Ireland, with similar artwork, not as big as this, perhaps. There's talk about having an exhibit in Karachi in the middle of November. We've been invited to consider having an exhibit there. They have a historic building that they're renovating, and they want to do something big there and have exhibits, and we've been invited to talk to them about doing an exhibit there. We're talking to some people in Switzerland about having one, and there's just a lot of activities that we're engaging in, and we're always looking for places to exhibit. We're also trying to create a permanent presence in some places, and we made a proposal to the gallery here to take some space in it permanently, but so far that proposal was not accepted. Well, we'll keep trying, because we need a Palestine museum in London and in other places as well. It's not enough to put a 3-month exhibit. We need to have a permanent presence that becomes a destination, that people visiting the town, they want to visit the museums, and they would come to the Palestine Museum. So that's something that we need to work on. So I hope some of you would think about that and have some ideas and find some people who are willing to work towards that goal. I do have a couple of people we invite them to give brief talks here. And Krista, would you like to introduce our first speaker, Dr. excuse me, Dr. Ghada.
Dr. Ghada Kermy, of course. So welcome everyone to this incredible exhibit, Art of Palestine, from the River to the Sea. We're so honored to have Dr. Ghada Kermy with us, who is a Palestinian academic, physician, and author born in Jerusalem and now based in London. Her family was forced out of Palestine in 1949 and has not been allowed to return. She's written a number of books, including her memoir, In Search of Fatima, and her most recent work of nonfiction is One State, the Only Democratic Solution for Palestine, Israel. She currently serves as a research fellow at the Institute of Arab and Islamic Studies at the University of Exeter, and is also a dear friend. I'm so honored to have you with us at this important exhibit opening. Welcome, Ghada.
Is that okay to stand here?
Yeah, sure. I think I better stand because nobody can see me.
Okay, well, they can see you from here. You need to be here. So they can see you.
But
Go around the
so
other way.
Short.
Just no, I'll adjust it for you. Don't worry. Here, come stand here. And
Yeah, but nobody can see me.
from the audience.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, it would just be a voice.
So how about this? Come stand here. All right, and you look at the audience there.
Okay.
And the other audience see you here. Okay.
Right.
And let me take the spotlight off here and put the spotlight on you, okay?
Okay.
Uh, spotlight. No, hold on one second. Okay.
There you go.
There you
Welcome,
go.
Dr. Ghada.
Okay. All right. Greetings, everyone. Look, I won't talk too long because I'm quite conscious of the fact that you're all standing up. Some kind soul brought a chair for me, which I really appreciate, and I'm sure most of you would have also appreciated seats. However, look, this is an important occasion, a wonderful occasion. It's very good to see all of you, and I know among you some very good friends of the Palestinians. I want to commend Faisal, take the opportunity of commending him and congratulating him for this tremendous project of establishing a Palestine museum in the belly of the beast in the United States. And I expect you'll all be looking around at the exhibits here, which are wonderful. And I want to mention in particular a series of embroidered pieces down there, which I had the honor to be associated with. It's the Palestine History Tapestry, which I helped to found, and the absolutely brilliant Jan Chalmers is here, who has carried this project. Really on her shoulders, and has now been able to agree with Faisal that the history tapestry will go and be exhibited at the museum, Palestine Museum in the United States. I think this is a great achievement, and I wish it very well for the future. Okay, so just a few words about the general situation. Now, it saddens me that we are looking at and seeing things of beauty in the midst of a very ugly reality. We must never, and we must always try, at least, to retain the beauty and ignore as far as it's possible, ignore the ugly reality. Now, why this exhibition in particular is so relevant is because the real project the Zionists have had right from the beginning is about erasure. It was about erasing the people, the indigenous people of Palestine, not only physically out of the place, but their history, their culture, their presence, anything about them which, sorry about this, which demonstrated their presence, not least in the various artistic forms in which Palestinians express themselves. I want to particularly, I don't have to remind anybody here, but we stress here embroidery. Embroidery is a terribly important aspect of Palestinian life. It's something that women were involved with. It commemorated their place of origin because the patterns associated with each Palestinian town were distinctive. The colors of the threads they used are distinctive. This was all about fitting into your environment, being in your place, being comfortable, and therefore being able to produce and create works of art because you belong to the place and you express that in the way that you know. You know, in some ways, I wish that we were not having this exhibition, and I wish that we were not having a museum. I'll tell you what I mean by that. Had we never been invaded by the Zionists, and had we not had our country taken over by a foreign people, and all the tragedies that have ensued from that initial act, really nobody would ever have heard of us. And frankly, it would be best if nobody had heard of us. I always remember Edward Said gave a lecture, actually not far from here, quite a few years ago. It was at UCL. And I vividly remember him saying, you know, if our foes had not been Jews, no one would have heard of the Palestinians. And there is some truth in that. Now, however, we're here, it's now, and we need to assert our existence, our presence, not just as stereotypical wailing, you know, village women or refugees in camps, but as a people with a history, with a culture, and with an art, and art forms, which some of which we're looking at here, and many, many others. Well, what of the future? What of the future? Somebody already asked me, what do you think lies, what do you think about the future? Well, first of all, nobody knows. And anybody who tells you that they can actually sketch out some kind of future, it's not true. Nobody knows what the future will be. We know that we are caught in a diabolical predicament where there are many, many different actors and many different situations. We don't know how these will interact, will play out. You can see that the Zionists have now attacked Lebanon. Where next? What's going to happen? We don't know. But in the meantime, it's very important not to give up, not to give up hope, not to feel despair, but to say, we are still here. There is a Palestinian people. The Palestinian people have friends, have supporters. And while that happens, they will continue to assert themselves, to express themselves, and to appreciate all the friends that they have. And I want to end on a note of thanks to you for your solidarity, for your support, and long live Palestine.
Thank you, Rada, for your incredible remarks. Thank you so much for being here and honoring the story of Palestine with all of your work and supporting this incredible effort with the Palestine Museum US.
Krista, how about we introduce Dr. Salman Abu Sitta next?
Okay, so we have with us on Zoom the esteemed Dr. Salman Abu Sitta, who is tuning in from Kuwait. Our heart goes out to his family in Lebanon. He is, of course, an esteemed Palestinian researcher, historian, and the founder and president of Palestine Land Society. He has dedicated his life's work to defending the Palestinian right of return and also the viability of that, and oversees the Building Future Palestine competition, which showcases young architectural students on the reconstruction of Palestinian destroyed villages. Dr. Salman has published a number of books, including the Atlas of Palestine and Mapping My Return, a Palestinian memoir. We're so honored to have you with us here today, Dr. Salman, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Krista. And special thanks to my friend Faisal Saleh in his efforts. He's the art ambassador of Palestine. And thank you all for being here tonight. I wish I had been with you. But I ask you the simple question, or what is the importance of this exhibition? The answer to this is simple. Israel took the land of Palestine, claimed its geography as its own, and erased its history. What remained for Palestinians are their qualities, their resilience, their bond to their country, their identity, and the art to express all that. You can also see a different kind of representation of Palestine, an authentic, factual representation of Palestine. It is the map of Palestine we see in the floor. What is a map? It's a title deed. It's a record stating a fact on the ground. What you see here is a map of Palestine from millennia until 1948. It has 1,200 towns and villages. You see them, their names on the floor. 1948, 2/3 of all Palestinians residing in 530 cities and villages have been attacked by Israeli Zionist forces. They were depopulated altogether. Palestinians were driven to refugee camps in Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and in Palestine, the West Bank, and of course, in the biggest concentration camp of all in Gaza, now the site of the longest genocide for over 356 days so far. The refugees in Gaza have been driven from 247,000 villages into the concentration camp of Gaza. 2.3 million people are denied food, water, medicine, education, and movement. And now they suffer genocide. They are the true hostages, never stopped to demand the right to return home for 27,000 days so far. Palestinians lived in Palestine for over 4,000 years. Palestine is Palestinian longer, much longer than London is English. I'll give you an example of this. Names of villages you see on this map are almost the same as that recorded by the British Survey of Palestine in 1871. They are the same names listed in the Ottoman tax register of 1596, even much older than that. They are listed by the Palestinian bishop Eusebius in the year 313 AD in his book Onomasticon. I can assure you there is nothing like this anywhere in Europe. But now you see how they cheated you by saying Palestine is a land without people. They cheated you and they knew it was a lie, a very big lie. What's worse, it was not only a lie, but it was a plan to make Palestine a land without people. Hence the genocide. And they make it empty. They did that by expelling Palestinians from their homes, by attacking them in refugee camps, anywhere, everywhere, and now by genocide in Gaza. But in spite of the blood and the killing and the war crimes, Palestinians will survive and rebuild this Palestine as you see it on the map. It is not historic Palestine as something in the past. It is the real Palestine that existed for 4,000 years and will no doubt exist for another 4,000 years. Palestine will be free from the river to the sea. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Salman, for your incredibly powerful words and a reminder at the rich and deep history of Palestine that, as you said, goes back for millennia.
So you can hear me now, right? And Krista, you can hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I think what I'd like to do before we look at the artwork is I'd like to read to you the list of participating artists in the exhibit and tell you where they're from, where they're residing. So if you just give me a minute while I find the document that has that information on it. And let's delete this one and make sure it has everybody on it. All right, so the names are alphabetical. So the first one is Ghassan Abu Laban. Ghassan resides in Amman, Jordan. Bayan Abu Nahle recently left Gaza and is living now in Cairo. Tala Abu Nawar, she lives in Boston in the US. Salman Abu Sitta, you just heard from him, and he's in Kuwait. Ibrahim Al-Azza in the US. Muhammad Al-Hajj somewhere in Gaza. Abdurrahman Al-Nabahin is also, he's a photographer, lives in Gaza right now. Nabil Anani in Ramallah in the West Bank. Hanan Awad lives in Houston, Texas in the US. Samira Badran in Spain. Maisara Baroud somewhere in Gaza. Jacqueline Bijani, she's on the screen up here on the panelist. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hello everyone.
And Jacqueline lives in Luxembourg, not too far from here. Sanat Farah Shara lives in Haifa, occupied Palestine. Suzanne Bushnak lives in Kuwait. John Desiro lives in Brooklyn, New York. And John is the only non-Palestinian in the list. And the reason he's on the list is because John and Abed, which is Abdurrahman, who we talked about earlier, have formed some sort of a relationship, a friendship, where Abed was trying to promote, I'm sorry, where John was trying to promote Abed's work and raise some funds to help him. And eventually what he did, he took the pictures that Abed has taken in Gaza and painted them in watercolors. And we have them on exhibit here. We have about 6 of those watercolors and a number of the pictures. So it's a beautiful thing that he was able to do. And the museum was very impressed by that. And we selected some of those to exhibit here. Thank you to John and thank you to Abed. Rasha Alayan. Rasha, did you make it here? Is Rasha here? She's supposed to be here. So Hamada El-Kamt lives in Brussels. Nadia Rashid Gilbert lives in the US. Samia Halabi lives in New York, US. Samar Hosseini in New Jersey in the US. Haya Kaabne in Ariha, Jericho, in the West Bank. Dr. Khalil Khalidi lives in Gaza, and he's a practicing surgeon and an artist. And I was hoping that he would make it to the panel today, but apparently the internet may not be cooperating there. We can't always guarantee that. And there's something very special about Dr. Khalil. He's an artist, and I'm going to tell you a story about 2 pieces of art that we have downstairs that he did. They're not the originals because we can't get anything out of Gaza right now, but they are digital reproductions of the originals that he had. He was treating a child who was about 9 years old, and when that child was brought into the hospital, he was categorized as code blue. And code blue are people who could be saved, but it requires a lot of effort at a time where they cannot dedicate that much effort to one person, and they would rather save other people. At any rate, the child took his last breath, and he had just taken 2 vials of blood from him before he died. And the lab technician came and asked him, the doctor, what do I do with these? Do I throw them away? And he said, no, give them to me. So he took them and he injected heparin in them, which is a blood thinner, to prevent the blood from clotting. And then he used that blood to make 2 drawings. One was an angel, and the other one is a girl eating a popsicle, an ice cream. And the significance of the ice cream is that in Gaza, they ran out of morgue space like early on, and they were using all the ice cream trucks they could find to store the bodies of people. You know, when children think of ice cream, they think of something nice, and it really changed the whole idea of ice cream for people who are in Gaza. Now the ice cream is associated with death and bodies. So I'd like you, when you go downstairs, to look for these 2 drawings, and they were done in blood, and you'll see the color. Now
Faisal, can you unpin Dr. Salman so we can see you while you're talking?
All right.
Thanks.
What's the matter? You don't want to see Dr. Salman?
No, so people in the audience are asking to be able to see you in a bigger screen.
How about
And I can post a couple.
How about we pin the audience?
That would be great.
That's better.
And of course, Dr. Khalil's I see him painting those 2 paintings of patient 991 and the ice cream truck image on his Instagram account. So if you're on Zoom, I'll post those links to you. And if you're not, I encourage you to look up Dr. Khalil Khaldi's Instagram account, and you can see him a videotape of him actually painting those incredible, incredible paintings.
Krista, also, we had like an hour and a half conversation with him recently, about 10 days ago. And that interview is on our YouTube channel, which is PalestineMuseum.us on YouTube. And you can listen to it. It's a very fascinating conversation we had with him. And he talks about his artwork and about that particular child. And he said the child was in the morgue for 3 days and nobody claimed him. Anyway, so let me go back to the list that I was reading here. And I think the last person we had was Dr. Khalil Khalidi. And then we have Muhammad Khalil from Bitunia near Ramallah. Rania Matar, she lives between the US and Lebanon. Namir Qasim from Jerusalem, Palestine. Mira Shahade from Cairo. Mira's here. Mira, are you here? Yeah? I didn't hear you. Mira. All right. She is here, I think. Amal Sobah lives in Amman, Jordan. Taqi Spatin lives in Jerusalem. Taqi is the one who painted this 4-meter piece there that's on the wall. And we also have special participation by Gaza children. There are 4 drawings by children in Gaza who were treated for stress after the 2008-2009 Operation Cast-led Israeli attack on Gaza. And those 4 drawings are part of a 200 drawing collection that the museum has. We've taken another 4 to Ireland, and at the museum we have about like another 150 that have been on exhibits since the museum opened 6 years ago. And finally, we have 9 pieces from the Palestinian history tapestry, and they were designed and embroidered by different people, and you can find the names of those people right next to the embroideries. There's a card with a lot of information about each piece, and also, of course, there's a website. If you just search for Palestinian history tapestry, you can see all the 100 pieces that are there, and look at the idea behind each one and who designed it and who embroidered it. A lot of it was embroidered by Palestinian women in refugee camps in Lebanon and in the Naqab and also in Gaza. And that completes the list of artists. I think since we haven't been able to get our remote mics working, we are probably not going to do the walkthrough. However, I will make a video that has all the artwork that's here, and we will put that on our YouTube channel soon. And if anybody has any questions in the Zoom audience, you're here, we're happy to try to answer them for you now, if you like. Anybody would like to say something, a comment or whatever, also on Zoom, you can raise your hand, and here you could also raise your hand. If anybody has any questions. Krista, any questions on your end?
I don't see any. How soon do you think, are you going to be doing that virtual tour relatively soon?
Soon. I mean, I could try to do it. You know what? I could do it briefly, quickly here, and I'll use the audio from the iPhone. Let me see if we can make that work. Let me mute here before you start hearing the echo. On mute.
So there's an echo.
I know there's an echo. Okay. Is there an echo still? No.
No, you've got it fixed.
And can you hear me still?
Yes.
Yeah, they can. They just we're not hearing them here because I had to mute the speakers, because if the speaker is on and the microphone is on, you're here, you're here,
Sure.
you're here, you're here, you're here, you're here, you're here. You get the idea.
I get it.
So feel free to walk around. I'm going to be walking around showing our people who are in other countries some of the pieces. Feel free to hang around with me and listen to what I have to say. Seemed like you have a question.
No, I think you want to focus so you can speak in front of the camera.
No, I don't like speaking in front of the camera. I do enough of it. Okay, so yes.
The 16 pictures over there are well documented, but the trouble is you don't know necessarily which is 1 and which is 16. I get it, but it's rather difficult.
You guessed right.
Thank you.
We start in the upper left and go to the right, and then come back to the left. Go to the
So the bottom of the
left to right
is the 16.
Yeah, left to right, left to right. Yeah. I mean, there was.
Faisal,
Yes.
I wonder if you want to, if we want to just hear briefly, since we have Jacqueline Bejani with us, if you just want to hear briefly from her as well.
Does she want to talk? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I just said, I think it'd be nice to quickly hear from, before you start walking around, to just quickly hear from Jacqueline Bejani, since we have her with us here on Zoom.
Go ahead.
And
Jacqueline,
I can just briefly,
sorry.
introduce,
ahead.
and I'll just briefly introduce her as one of our esteemed artists who has
Okay,
exhibited
hold
with
on a
us.
sec. Hold
Sure.
on a second. You can go ahead now.
Okay, so we have, of course, with us Jacqueline Bejani, Palestinian artist, was born in Beirut, tuning in from her studio in Luxembourg, and her work has been featured at our exhibit From Palestine with Art in Venice back in 2022, and also From Palestine, Our Past, Our Future in 2023. And her work is portraits of famous Palestinian artists, journalists, writers, and dignitaries, which is featured at this exhibit, including Ghassan Kanafani, Shireen Abu Akli, Ahad Tamimi, Saad Al-Amri, Mahmoud Darwish, and many others. Susan Abdul Hawa, Samia Halbi. We're so honored to have your work with us. And if you just want to say a few words, because we just so appreciate your participation in the Palestine Museum US's efforts to tell the Palestinian story.
Thank you, Krista. Thank you very much. And thank you, Faisal, for having me, for including me in the exhibition. Well, the thing is, portraits are part of a larger series of many portraits. And I had the idea to do that because I realized my children didn't know the faces of prominent Palestinian important persons.
To make these, they were working and they stopped working.
So I started doing portraits of, very famous Palestinians and also living Palestinians. And I started many years ago, a few years ago, and I have now more than 100 portraits. And, the more we live and the more important persons, I feel I have to do the portraits. And so I think you have only 9 portraits.
9, yes, we have 9.
Yeah, 9 portraits at the exhibition. The idea is to use the colors of the flag and to always have the same size, the same format, and then to experience many ways to show, to represent the people, especially for instance my children who are raised here in Europe, and of course who don't read and learn about these important people. So
what happened?
That's my work. That's what I'm trying to do, among other things, of course, because I have worked on landscapes and I have very different works. But this specific work is our portraits.
Well, thank you so much. We're honored to have you. And my children have the same experience. They don't always know about all those important people in our history and even in the present. And so it is so important for those of us living in the diaspora to educate our children. And of course, art is a beautiful way to do that. So thank you so much for being part of our exhibits and part of the grand opening of today's exhibit as well, Jacqueline.
Thanks, Krista.
Faisal, where are you?
Yes.
Let's see if we can get him back. Okay, well, you want to go ahead and proceed now with your, show us what you can at least see in that area where you are right now.
Okay. All right.
And share with our online audience. And I did put a link to Jacqueline's website. Then you can see the many other art projects that she's been involved with. So I encourage you to check that out.
All right, you can hear me now?
Creeping. Yes.
Are you guys hanging around or are you leaving? Okay. Yeah. In about 20 minutes. You're gonna be there?
I'm gonna be there.
All right. I'll grab some people, we go there. Okay. Yeah, good idea. All right, I'll meet you there.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So that went very, very well.
Thank you.
And I was very glad that we included the now traditional way, trying to get the AV working.
Yeah.
With the fiddling with it and so on. That's part of the traditional part
Yeah.
of the museum's presentation.
Yes.
So it was really,
It was working really.
yeah, I know, it always does.
I just bought this stuff 2 years ago. I don't have experience with
I
it.
think it was great. It was a good time.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I'm gonna start showing the audience that's still waiting for me. Okay, Krista, here we go. So the first piece we're looking at here
Great.
is called Under Observation, Under Surveillance, basically, and it's by Hamad El-Kamt, and he is originally from Gaza, currently living in Luxembourg. No, I'm sorry, not Luxembourg. Currently living in Brussels, Belgium. Okay. We have two thobes here, and these are not the historic thobes. They're modern, have modern design, but they employ or Palestinian themes and motifs. They're a little bit light, and they can be worn in the summer. And they're not as heavy as the other thobes. We have two installations here. It's called All That Remains, and these are bundles that Palestinians carry all their belongings. Like as we've seen in Gaza, when people left, they carried a bundle of clothes with them on their head or on their back or on a mule or what have you. That's basically something unique to Palestinians in the sense that they have moved and forced to move so many times that they are very familiar with this bundle of things. This piece.
So who was the artist of the bundles? Who was the artist?
Ibrahim Al-Azzi is a young
Ibrahim Al-Azzi.
artist. He teaches graphic design in the Northeast in the US. He actually designed the fabric that you see on. It's not like a keffiyeh fabric. It's a specially designed fabric.
Yeah.
And this piece here is by Nabil Anani. Some of you may have seen this before. It is. It really looks like the hills in Ramallah. The overlapping hills, the pencil thin Italian cypress trees on the left and the right there. It's it's a magnificent view. You can look at it forever. People should come and see it in person. It looks a lot different in person. All right, we're gonna move on and we're looking at this piece here by Haya Kaabne. And Haya lives, like I said, in Jericho. Really, I thought it was a very moving piece, very interesting. The big piece here, which is 4 meters wide, it's as big as the house, is by Taqi Sabatin. And it has a scarecrow in the middle. It's supposed to be an Israeli soldier. But the interesting things are the poppies. The poppies are beautiful, as you can see. and get close to look at the poppies. And again, this looks better in real person. And you see the separation wall on both sides of it. Okay, we're going to look at a couple more things here. And I'm going to move a bit faster. This piece is by Tala Abu Nawar. Yeah. Yeah. And this piece is by Amal Sobeh. And what we see are children are being hanged by strings that are the end of balloons here. And it's the artists explain this as that the Gaza children are no like any other children, and they are hung by their dreams. Their dreams evaporate in the air and go away and disappear.
Can you repeat the artist's name? Sorry.
Amal Sobeh, Sobeh.
Thank you.
In here, we're seeing about 15 drawings by Maysara Baroud that are printed on translucent paper, and they're being lit from the back so you can see them. And each one tells a different story. There is a list of them, and each one has some sort of a theme. But they are quite expressive. I mean, yeah, I'll get close so you can see like this one, for instance.
Wow.
The one on the left has the baby, somebody has the baby. And the other ones, people all falling together. Just amazing stuff. As you can see, we're hung them together with rings here, and they're
Really powerful. It reminds me a little bit of Matisse, like a Palestinian Matisse.
yeah. Okay, right now we are looking at these are the photos that the person Abed from Gaza made, and you can see him here with hanging out with some children in Gaza, right there. Sorry, I'm gonna tighten the camera a little bit. All right, there we go. See some of the other pictures, and these are the watercolors that John Desero painted from his friends' photos. You can see. And these are the children's drawings from Gaza. The children that drew this, they're like in their late 20s right now.
Yeah, because those were from the 2009 Operation
Yeah.
Cast Lead.
Exactly. So it's 15 years ago. Some of them were like 10 and 12. And so we move on. We're going to look at the 9 tapestry pieces now. This is a write-up about the history of the tapestry project. And we're going to look at the pieces one at a time. This is a henna party. Everybody knows what henna is, right? And down below, we have the rooftops of Gaza there. And to the left, we have the seaport of Jaffa right there. All this is hand embroidered, by the way. And it's sitting on a background piece of cloth that is stitched on it. And below, we see something more modern now about a town under siege and the separation wall and watchtowers. This here is a scene of like an exile. This is the kind of thing going on in Gaza now, where people are being forced to evacuate and they have no place to go, so they're carrying their bundle with them or another thing on their head and moving aimlessly, not knowing where to go. This is a verse from Mahmoud Darwish called "Ala hadihi al-ard ma yastahiqqu al-haya." On this land, something deserves to live. And here we have Gaza in flames, a more recent piece. Too bad we don't really have time to read all this, but you could read these on the website also, by the way. And this is the Mawtani, which is the original national anthem of Palestine. And there's some lines from it, hand embroidered. It looks like the Kufi style of calligraphy. And this is Gaza, Life Under Siege, the title of this. Sorry, I did something to, yeah. All right, now we're gonna go downstairs to the lower level of the gallery. And in the distance, we see a great painting called Watermelon by Rasha Alayan. So I really like these distant views. It looks so nice from here. You can see all the other artwork on the left, and yet that one is anchored right in the back, in a vanishing point. Beautiful setting. Now we're gonna go by Jacqueline Bijani's masterpiece here, which consists of 9 portraits of important Palestinian artists and literary figures. And we could see on the top is Ibrahim Tukan on the left, Hayam Abbas, Susan Abul Hawa, Fadwa Tukan, Hassan Kanafani, Samia Halabi, and we have the, of course, on the bottom left here, sorry. And next to her is Layla Shahid, and then Mahmoud Darwish at the bottom. We are continuing. We're still watching the watermelon piece. And this is the beautiful lady that painted the watermelon. You want to say hello? So what does your piece stand for?
I need a minute.
Okay. Sorry to put you on the spot. Okay, so here we have a piece by Samira Badran, and it's called Siege. Beautiful monochrome piece. It's very tall. This is the only place in the gallery that we could put it because we have double ceilings here. The ceiling covers the first and second floors together. All right, we're gonna go down to a computer animation by Nasreen Zahda. And it's like a 4-minute animation that tells you the story of Palestine in 4 minutes. It has audio. I don't know why we don't have the audio on. Some music, sound effects. This is the animation. We can watch a little bit of it. This is the end. This animation is also in the Venice exhibit right now. I have to tell them to turn the audio. Here. Some of the sounds.
So repeat the artist, please.
Nisreen Zahda, she's an architect.
Yeah, so the one I mentioned earlier, Nasreen.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll put a link to her website again because there's a lot of interesting work that you can see from
Okay.
her.
We're gonna look at a piece by Namir Qasim. You like this? No?
That one
Sami Halabi.
is 3.
A lot of people like this. It's only $15,000. It'll probably go up. Okay, so that's Nasreen, I'm sorry, Namir Qasim, and then we have Susan Bushnak here. It's called Steps. And we have Samia Halabi. Samia Halabi's piece. And Bassan Abu Laban's piece.
Which is called Venetian Red.
Yeah.
Which
This
we
is,
first
Bassan
exhibited.
It's called Jidar, wall in Arabic. And this is Hanan Awad, the face of resilience. It's the lady selling figs in the market in Ramallah. Then we have Rania Matar's photo of a girl from a refugee camp in Lebanon. And then Muhammad al-Hajj, Intiqal, migration. He basically painted himself 2 years ahead of time. He didn't realize he was going to be one of those people in the painting.
Yeah, we thought that was a thing of the past.
Yeah. And this is the Salt Worker by Muhammad Khalil. And these are the two pieces that were painted with blood. And you see is the child that whose blood was used. It's a beautiful piece. The QR code takes you to a video of him painting it, so you can see how he actually painted it. And this is the girl in the bottom eating the ice cream and crying. This piece is by Mira Shahade, who lives in Egypt. And it's about erasure. These people in the painting are being erased. That's why you could hardly see them. And in real life, it's actually, there's more erasure to it than in the photo. It's a higher contrast in the photo, but in real life, it really looks like it's all wiped off. And this is Nadia Rashid Gilbert's photograph. This is a famous photograph. It's been in three exhibits for 3 years running, and it's always get published. We go back and look at 3 drawings by Muhammad al-Hajj. And you see the first one, people writing in you could say, sorry, riding in one of these buggies that are drawn by mules. And that became like the standard way of transporting things in Gaza after the lack of petrol and lack of cars. Below it is a bunch of people looking for a place to go, and the bottom one is children out of school, have no school to go to. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Beautiful pieces by Muhammad al-Hajj. Okay, I think the last thing we're going to look at is some drawing from Gaza. Yes.
You want help carrying this?
I'm fine. You
Your knee?
can hang out with me.
I was gonna kind of, is everybody leave or?
We're gonna go to a restaurant
Oh,
across the
okay.
street, so you wanna hang out.
Uh,
Wanna come?
friends here for يمكن أن continue.
No? You like all the good ones, they're all the same price. So these are Bayan Abu Nahla's watercolors from Gaza, and they were kind of ragged because she did them during the bombings, and she had them like in a notepad, and she tore them out of the notepad, basically one by one. And you can see the first four has to do with the food drops by parachutes. And you can see they're coming and people running to get them and swimming, and then the boxes are empty at the end. These are different ones here. You can see the car loaded with mattresses on top, and the woman on her back. The title of that one is "There Is Hope," and the one on the right of that is called Rafah. And the last three in the bottom are portraits of war. I mean, look at the one in the middle. That's something.
Yeah, so expressive.
Yeah. And they're hanging with those little clothes clips on the clothesline.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the animation we had 2 years ago about the Nakba and how the 500 Palestinian villages were depopulated and destroyed in the sequence of that. Finally, we have a custom designed fabric by Samar Hosseini that has a lot of embroidery motifs in it. And this is supposed to be like over the door of the gallery, but the gallery floors are low ceilings, so it only fits on the big wall here and the two floor ceilings. Yeah. Beautiful, yeah. People stand in it and have their picture taken. No, it's all okay, Krista, we're gonna say goodbye.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for
Yeah.
joining us on Zoom and in person. It's been an incredible experience.
Anybody that has questions about the artwork, they can write me, info@palestinemuseum.us. Hopefully somebody want to buy some of it, would be really helpful. But we have to come up with a film for Saturday, so we will see some of you on Saturday, inshallah. Okay, well, I'm gonna say goodbye and turn off here.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Ma salama.
Bye.
Faisal, you didn't actually close out. I don't know if you can hear me. But thanks everyone for tuning in and for your patience with our technology. Hope to see you at future programming. Ma salama.